Hello, YouTube family. This is the recap to today's live stream, which was called The Awakening. The Awakening is the period of time that happens after the discard, after you started leaving or detaching or waking up from the fantasy fake world that had been your reality, that you had believed was real all that time. It is a time where you are going to feel like you're completely unstable. You're going to feel like you cannot trust your own instincts. You cannot, you don't know what's up, what's down. You feel like you've been tossed around and now you're upside down. Your life is upside down. So during this awakening, it's very jarring. It's very scary. It might even, throw you into a depression or hopelessness. But I want you to know that you're not alone and it is not hopeless. And in fact, the awakening is a really good spot to be because that means you're leaving something that was completely wrong, that was completely fake, that was not real at all. And you're going to come into something that's real. And at first, the reality might be like, oh no, the reality is worse. The reality is scary and messy. But if you are in reality, you get to clean it up. You get to put what you want in that reality and take out what you want. You get to actually live in a place where you can connect with other people. Because if you're living in a fantasy, you're not going to be able to connect with people. I know that I know some people who feel like they connect when they're all drugged up. They're not connected, you guys. None of them are connected. They're all in their individual little mind pods, if you will, in their drunken or their high state, and they're not really interacting. Whatever they're seeing or believing is not shareable. So that's the life that we were part of. Now we're waking up and we're looking around, and it may not look really good, by the way. I was sharing in the live stream this commercial where this woman walks into this room, or she's standing in this room, and it's for a room freshener, and she's smelling this beautiful field of daisies or flowers, and she's outside, and the sky is blue, and the sun is shining, and she's inhaling deeply and thinking, oh, this is beautiful, and I can, my senses are coming alive. And then boom, the picture changes. And now she's standing inside of her kitchen. And her kitchen is a total disaster. It's got slop all over the counters. The sink is completely full. There are pots and pans piled up everywhere. And she's like, ooh, but at least I think the motto of the commercial is at least it smells good. And I'm thinking, this is not where you want to live. You do not want to live in that disaster area that's a total dumpster, and then convincing yourself because one of your senses is telling you it smells good, then this is acceptable and this is beautiful. And so long as I close my eyes, I can pretend that I'm in this field. Well, you guys, how do you share that with another person? How can you connect with other people if that's where you live? So say you bring your friends over into your kitchen and it looks like that disaster. And you're going to tell them, okay, but close your eyes. Think about how it smells. Doesn't it smell good? Just keep your eyes closed, though. The whole time you're here, you have to keep your eyes closed, and you're going to feel great. You're going to really enjoy this plug-in scent thing that I bought, or this room spray that I bought. No, they're not going to do that, right? They're not going to be like, oh, sure, I'll stay. I'll hang out in this dumpster with you and close my eyes, pretend that all this mess is not around me and the stench is being covered by something that's fake and an imitation. And I'll just pretend that we're sitting in a field of flowers outside in a sun. No, how can you possibly connect with somebody, right? So the awakening allows you to see the dumpster that you've been living in, the dumpster of a life that you've been living in, right? That people were like running from you. And they're like, I don't want to be a part of that. Or people who loved you tried to come in and help you get out of that. But you fought them and you're like, no, I want to stay here. I don't want to leave here because if I close my eyes, this is a really good place to be. That is how it has been with the narcissist. So it's very hard to connect with people unless they join you in that delusion. If they join you in that delusion, then you might feel like, oh, we're connecting. But here's the thing, there's going to be less people who are going to be deluded than there are people who can see it's a dumpster fire, you know. And the people that you're connecting with in real life, it's going to decrease if you stay in that dumpster. Because as new people come into your life, they're going to walk by and see what a dumpster it is and then keep walking, right? And the people who have been in your life and love you and are trying to get you out of there will eventually grow tired or maybe visit you less and less and less. So living in a fake fantasy world where you thought things were good just because you shut off some of your senses, right? Your spidey senses even, that told you something is massively wrong and off here and it's negative and it brings me down, and I can pretend from time to time if I get drunk enough that things are good and I'm happy and I can be a life of the party so long as I'm taking something. That's not reality, you guys. That is the fake fantasy, and actually that becomes a total nightmare. So when you first open your eyes, it's going to look like you're in a nightmare and you're going to be scared and you're going to want to run back and close your eyes again and shut off some of your senses and some of the things you learned and some of the real facts and evidence that showed you your life was a disaster, right? Or things around you were not real. You're going to want to pretend and go back to what you thought was real because it seemed more palatable, right? It seemed more pleasant. But you guys, you're going to keep yourself there. You're not going to be able to break out and you're going to destroy the rest of your life. There's a saying that says something worse than staying in a relationship for a year is staying in it in a bad relationship. How do I say this? What's worse than staying in a relationship for a year? Staying in a relationship for a year and 1 day. That is worse than staying in it for 1 year. So closing your eyes and pretending that things are okay and that you enjoy where you are, so long as you shut down some of your senses, so long as you ignore the disaster that's in your life that you think you cannot possibly clean up. It's overwhelming. You can't do this. This is what you're thinking. So you'd rather just close your eyes and pretend that things are okay. And then at some point, the fake stuff, the fake sprays will not be able to mask the disaster, the smells anymore. It will continue to rot to the point where there's nothing that can cover it anymore. And all of your senses will be telling you you're drowning or you're in this horrible place. And you don't want to stay there, you guys. It is actually a blessing to have the awakening. Because once you wake up, once you open up your eyes, guess what? Start cleaning. Once you open up your eyes and you realize like, oh my gosh, everything around me is horrid, is a disaster, is disgusting. Guess what? You get to get rid of it now. You get to clean up. You get to go and find what you need. You get the tools you need to start cleaning up your life. That's what you do in the awakening. You go and you get more education in the field that you want to get into. You get connected with people who have the same interests as you. You try something new that you've always wanted to try, right? You start cleaning up your life. You start bringing in people and skills that will help you clean up your life. So using the example of the kitchen, you go get a mop, you go get a sponge, you go get a trash can and several trash bags, right? And you start cleaning. You start putting things away. You start wiping down, and there'll be things along the way that you feel like, oh, I don't have this tool. I don't have this skill. Then go and get it. Go and do it. This is when you get to build your life. The awakening is a good place to be. It might be scary at first because the narcissist is no longer a part of your life and you feel like there's this empty space there. But that empty space is better than having something horrible that keeps you tied to a dumpster, right? Tied to a nightmare. You don't want that in your life. You want to be free. The awakening is a good place to be. Well, you guys, that was my show today. If you want to listen to more detail and more examples of what happens in the awakening and what it looks like and some other stories that go along with it, go ahead and check out the live stream, which is almost at an hour. I think it was like 55 minutes. And if you would give me a thumbs up and comment, share the video, subscribe, and watch a commercial once in a while. You only have to watch like 30 seconds of it. If it's a rather long commercial, if you would just let it play for 30 seconds, that would really encourage me and help me keep going. I appreciate that, and thank you so much for joining me. Blessings to you, and you have a great week.